What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
That is James MENNIE. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, you want to start with what's happened at the Calgary situation there? The police walking in to bust it up?
It is kind of interesting because there's so many parables to be drawn from this little incident. On the one hand, it goes to show that it's not for, once again, it's not for provincial premiers to tell municipal police forces what to do. The Calgary police basically received a complaint from the University of Calgary that a pro-Palestinian encampment had been set up on their property. They were trespassing and they wanted them moved. The camp was set up at about 6:30 a.m. on Thursday. The cops showed up at 6:30 p.m. They began discussions, which they kept saying were not negotiations. We are just asking you and really advising you to leave. 60 protesters agreed with that, and they left. The remainder, by about 11:15, were removed with the aid of basically a rolling wall of police shields backed up by tear gas and flash grenades. There were no reports of injuries. People were arrested. And it's kind of interesting because I don't know. I haven't heard anything from the other encampments, but if I was in one of them right now, I might be a little worried about what be happening down the pike in the near future. Certainly, the police approach was, rip the Band-Aid off, get there. The fact they showed up at 6:30 was not a coincidence. 6:30 in the evening. It's past deadlines for most newsrooms, and there won't be a lot of people, apart from the people that you're shooing out. There won't be a lot of people hanging around, so that was pretty well planned out. And they're getting all kinds of, congratulations from Alberta politicians, pretty much radio silence elsewhere. But it does sort of suggest that if there is the will to do this, it's going to happen. And you really have to wonder at this point, Aaron, as well, just how avid McGill University itself is to turn around and make a formal request and say, listen, let's go, let's do this. Or we noticed that they were not a part of the injunction request that the protests be moved at the McGill campus. Maybe, if they're worried about the convocation being displaced by this, they will take action. But clearly, what we saw from Calgary, it's the same scale camp as well as that in Montreal. It can be done, and it can be done quickly, and apparently without people getting too roughed up. But yeah, I guess it's all a matter of context, will, and quite frankly, politics.
I keep wondering, Jim, when that moment is going to be when McGill actually says, you said in this particular case in Calgary, this is the university going to the police directly and saying, hey, we have an issue. Could you take care? McGill, for whatever reason, has chosen not to do this. And you wonder if there's a tipping point when they finally go ahead and do it, whether it's, as I said yesterday, whether it's waiting for something to happen. Does someone have to throw a rock at somebody? Does a punch have to be thrown?
That may well be it. But, the other thing, and this is just my own take on this, when I saw the announcement from the cops saying, basically, we're following the legal status of the camp, and our job is to ensure the safety of protesters and the general public, I also sort of got an implicit kind of message out of that, like, you know what? We are not going to move in there unless there's a good reason, because if things go south, the same people who are calling for us to move in will be the first ones to hang us out to dry if this happens to go wrong.
So maybe that's what it is. It'll take an incident, and we'll have to wait and see.
Well,
all right.
And it's too bad, but you know what? That may well be it.
All right, let me move on and go to, I did not hear the story today. In Quebec, the cost of climate change, $655 million and counting. Where's this from?
That's Hydro-Quebec's first quarter, my dear friend. That is our money, or rather, it was supposed to be our money, but because of light rainfalls, a lack of precipitation, which led to fewer exports to our foreign markets, and because the winter was mild, and which a lot of people attribute to climate change, guess what? Demand for electricity was lower, and there was $655 million. We collected less in this first quarter than we did in the same quarter for the previous year. And there's everything to suggest, now maybe they'll pick it up in the summer, if, as they say, it's going to be another tropical summer here in Quebec, and everyone's got their AC cranked up. But the fact is, it goes to show how tenuous
Yeah.
The reliability on Hydro-Quebec, which I don't know about you, Aaron. I grew up thinking Hydro-Quebec would be the perpetual cash cow, source of electricity. Nothing would ever end. It's hydroelectricity.
Sure.
As long as the waters run, we will have electricity. And yet we're seeing all kinds of signs that, maybe this is not as reliable as we thought it was going to be. And even Hydro was sort of contemplating the idea of reviving one of its nuclear power plants. But this is it. Things are changing. And don't forget, bottom line in all of this is Hydro-Quebec is usually the big bankroll for a lot of government projects. I wonder if Francois Legault is hurrying back to the drawing board this weekend to maybe rethink some major projects.
And I wonder if Pierre Fitzgibbon, knowing this news, sees, hey, you know what, this is going to get worse before it gets better, might as well leave.
Yeah, it's like, hello, I must be going.
Yeah,
I got that impression as well. But this is it. It's not for, I think, for Pierre Fitzgibbon, I think it isn't a political thing. I think it is a business thing. I think he sees that a lot of what he thought he'd be able to pull off will not happen, certainly not in this term. He's not ready to do another one, and he's not ready to hang around and watch things sort of deteriorate, sort of wind down, which they are doing slowly but surely for the CAQ and Francois Legault, which is why he doesn't want to give us a commitment to how long he'll stay in office.
Well, listen, I don't need to give Pierre Fitzgibbon suggestions, Jim, but if he's looking for a payday, perhaps a job at the Caisse de dépôt might be in order.
Well, listen, it's good money if you can get it. You know what I mean? And here's the thing, I've never tried to palm myself as an expert in business, but from what I've seen in terms of the Caisse's performance, I don't see why anybody should be making more than $1 million a year over that place, much less more than a dozen executives are pulling in at more than $1 million a year. Because honestly, I remember there were times when that nice Michael Sabia was running the joint, and we were making out like bandits, but those numbers not as high anymore. And they'll blame the pandemic, they'll blame a slow economy. But the fact is, once again, here's another, what we thought would be a trustworthy economic force in Quebec that, as far as I'm concerned, seems a tad wobbly. But man, oh man, nobody deserves more than $1 million, even $1 million a year. Sorry, nobody.
Okay. You're not going to work there. $4 million for the head guy, right, Charles Lemont? Over $4 million a year. I think that's his salary.
And for what?
Well, for when you're making a gazillion dollars, fine. But like you said, Jim, this is not a sure thing, right? There are good years and bad years. On a good year, nobody really pays attention. On a year where we're not making much, you're like, why are we paying this guy?
But the bottom line as well is they're going to the casino and they got a big bag of money.
Yeah, and it's our money. Yeah, exactly.
It's our money.
Agreed.
So it's not just our money; it's our bloody pension. So this is what makes me a little bit nervous.
Understood. All right, let me move on. This next story, Legault explaining his brand of federalism. What is this, and why is he engaging with PSPP?
Well, it happened yesterday. I know we had a kind of a busy day yesterday, but here's good old Francois Legault crossing swords with Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon question period, as he is wont to do. And, once again, PSPP is yanking his chain over the relations with Ottawa. And then the big story yesterday, one of the big stories was how Trudeau has hired like 857 billion extra federal civil servants. I'm exaggerating, obviously. But and the PQ leader was going like, are we getting our money's worth? By staying in Canada. He says, we should be out of here. This is ridiculous. Quebecers are not getting their money's worth by being a part of this country. At which point, Francois Legault, a former separatist cabinet minister, says, you know what, in the here and now, the idea of independence is a noble project if you're talking about, identity. But if you're talking about hard finances, it would be ridiculous. We receive $10 billion more from Canada than we put into Canada's economy. Okay? So and please don't tell me with your budget of the year one you're going to make that up. You are not going to make that up. Because when I was in the PQ, we were only getting $4 billion. That's why we figured it wouldn't be that big a bite if we separated. He goes, now it ain't going to happen. So clearly, he didn't so much wrap himself up in the flag, Aaron, as he did wrap himself up in a spreadsheet and explain exactly why the only reason the CAQ is interested in being a part of Canada, because c'est payant.
Jim, as you say that, I think back to the interview we did with Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, where, if I recall, his numbers are a little bit different. He thinks we're net gainers here if we pull out of Canada.
Yeah, because he's saying we're going to he's saying that we're going to eliminate duplication of various ministries,
right.
duplication of government services. I fully agree. There is plenty of duplication. I don't think there's $10 billion worth of duplication, frankly.
We will leave it there. Jim, have a great weekend. Thank you.
You too, buddy.